Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rising Stories Podcast. I'm Corine Sandifer, your host. Usually, I have a business owner here or an author, and we talk about building our businesses and working like a boss and doing all the tasks that we have to do. We also talk about what helps us, best business practices with apps and all kinds of things that we are learning as business women and authors and how we make it all work. We also talk about everyday things like work-life balance and living with intention and dreaming big, because that's what it's all about. We want to dream big. We want to realize our dreams here. But today we're going to talk about networking. You know, I heard a definition on networking, and it goes like this. An effective business networking is the linking together of individuals who, through trust and relationship building, become walking and talking advertisements for one another. And that was on Business Know-How. So that is a really interesting way to look at networking. And we're going to talk about trust. We're going to talk about relationship building. And we're going to talk about how we advertise for each other. I have some great tips that I'm going to share with you. I'm also going to do my 3 favorite things at the end and my favorite restaurant and what I'm reading. And I bet that you've already read this book. And guess what? The book is coming out in a movie form. So listen to those things at the very end. I also want to share with you my favorite app these days. My favorite app is called Venmo, VNMO. I don't know if it's on Stitcher, but it's on iTunes, and I just love it because it connects with a click of a button. It connects you with all of your Facebook friends, I think, and maybe whoever else is on that you are connected to. It will connect with them, and you can just like send them money. It kind of works like a PayPal thing, but you can carry a balance, or it can come out of your your bank account. It connects with your bank account, but it's so simple and easy to use. I'll be going to a conference this weekend, for example, and sharing Ubers, and we can just like in real time, I can send her the money and just say, or him the money, and just, bam, it's done. And you've paid that person, and I love it. It's so simple. So today I want to talk about networking with purpose and balance. Sometimes when we go to these events, we have in our mind all of the things that people tell you about networking. Get your cards ready, get plenty of those, have your elevator speech down, make sure that you give everyone in the room a card, and going in there knowing what you're going to ask and what you're going to say, it can be overwhelming. So today I'm going to share 5 tips that are sure to make your networking a little bit better and different. And I think that you're going to feel better about going to these networking events. Sometimes some of us don't want to do that, but we have to do it. And so I think with these tips, you're going to feel a lot more calmer, and it's going to really take the pressure off on both sides. And that's why I call it the networking with purpose and balance. So number 1 is the what can I do for you approach. And many times when we attend these events, everyone is wanting something. They're wanting you to either be their next client, you're wanting them to connect you with someone who can get you a better job, a better position. Maybe you're thinking about transitioning to a new profession, and you're wanting to connect with those types of people. So we all have our goals in mind. We all have our expectations. And instead of thinking that, go in with a genuine, authentic understanding that you are there to serve these people. What can I do for you? What can you do for that person that you meet? Because really, it is all about relationships. If you don't have the relationship, they're not going to say, unless you happen to be selling something that they are just ripe and ready, and that happens probably 1 in 1,000, 1 in a million times that someone is ready. Hey, I've been wanting a branding person, which sometimes happens, but a lot of times they still need that connection. They want that connection with you. They want that little bit of relationship. A lot of times if you have someone in common, like you've done one of their friends' branding sites, you are, better suited for them. So going in with the thought of, hey, I'm going to see what I can do for them. For example, if you just meet someone and they are new to the area, you might say, hey, I have lived here all my life, or I've lived here for the last 20 years. Do you need anything? Do you need to know, a name of a hairdresser or a dentist? And a lot of times that connection and that personal thing that takes it off of what you guys are both there for gets you that closer connection to the other person. And number one, who are you going to remember? The person that gave you the best dentist in town's name? Or are you going to remember someone who just handed you a card, told you what they did and what they wanted to do next, or how you could participate in their business? Which one are you going to respond to? I think I'm going to go with the person who gave me the name of a hairdresser. So going in with that mindset of how can I help you? How can I be of service? And how can I serve you better? Just changes the dynamics of your networking event. Makes you feel better because you're actually offering some service that is not, part of what you do, but at the same time you're connecting with people and they'll receive you better and they'll remember you. Number 2 is volunteer and hold a position in that organization. Ask them if they need a door greeter or someone that can be checking people in. A lot of times you will have different conversations if you're wearing that badge that has the organization's name on it, rather than just another person in the room. It gives you credibility, it makes you stay visible, and you're giving back to the group. And that always helps. That always helps you, and it helps the group because they need more help to, door greeters, people with, helping with name tags. But it also kind of helps you to connect on a different level because a lot of times, I know when I go to networking events, I may ask them, hey, I strike up a conversation maybe about parking, maybe about when is the next event? What's the calendar? And so you're starting conversations that aren't about what you do or what they do. And it kind of leads to the next, conversation, which might lead to, yes, this is who I am. This is what I do. And it just adds to your credibility, your visibility. And I think it's a great idea to volunteer anyway. Number 3 is select the right event. Make sure that you're not wasting your time at an event where the people there are not your target audience. If you are in the position of looking for a different job and you need to network, make sure that it's very specific. Seek those out. Go online. If it's a hospital or IT job that you're looking for, make sure that you're Googling those types of organizations. Search on Facebook and make sure that you are looking in the right places and that you're going to the right events. Because if you're not, it's just not, it's going to be frustrating, and you want it to be your prime target audience. And networking with a purpose and balance includes that, making sure that you are smart about choosing who you're going to talk to. That brings us to number 4, and number 4 is observe. So sometimes I think it's important for young businesses, young entrepreneurs, or people that are coming back and starting a different business to attend these networking events where you are just observing. But here's the thing is I want you to go to the places where the people there are who you want to be. So if they are small business owners that build websites, or if they are HR people and you want to be in the HR world and in that department, go to those events. Observe. It doesn't have to be the whole added pressure of passing out cards, doing, what they tell you to do, which is, pass out the cards, give your elevator speech, all that jazz. It doesn't have to be that stressful. It can be as simple as going there and surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded and that want to succeed in what they're doing and that are doing it just like what you want to do. So surround yourself with people like that, and that's important too. So go to the event. Don't worry about giving out cards. Don't worry about making that elevator speech. Just ask them questions. Say, what do you do? And how do you do it? And how did you get started? Because that is important too. And what's funny is I read somewhere about what people believe the qualities of a person who is kind and friendly. And that is, were they good listeners? Did they smile? And did they hear the answers to some questions? Like, did they want to know about me? And so a lot of times you might be going to these events and just listening to these people talk and tell you about how they started their business, where they are now, how they got there. Just ask questions about. People love to talk about themselves, and they'll leave thinking, gosh, what a nice person. Because that's what I read the other day, that's what kindness is. That's how people think of people that are kind. Because if you just sit there and talk about yourself the whole time, then, they're not, going to think that you are connecting with them. So it is a balance. So make sure that you're asking questions, but go and just observe. Connect with the people that you want to be like. So number 5 is get organized. Make sure that you have your ducks in a row before you go to a networking event. And this is not a big task. It's basically, yes, have a business card ready. Make sure that you, in your mind, know exactly what you're looking for. What am I looking for? Question mark. Answer that question and answer this other question. How can others help me? What do I need from them? So once you answer those 2 questions yourself before you go to the event, that will solidify in your mind what it is that you're looking for, how they can help you, and what you need. So those 2 things, answer that. Also, making sure that all of your social media, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your Twitter, all the things, Snapchat, everything that is going to be put out there, because people will look for you. So make sure that those are organized. And the other part of getting organized is the follow through. So when I come back from a networking event, I make sure that I have all my cards with me, and I ask people for cards. I would love to get your card, even if they don't ask me for my card back. I get their cards. I go home the day of the event and I look them up on LinkedIn. I reach out to them with a personalized invitation to connect with me. And guess what I do in that invitation? That's when I share what I do. I share with them what it is I do, what I'm looking for, how they can help me. And it's great, because the interesting thing about that is, because the reason I do LinkedIn is that they are already thinking, when you enter LinkedIn, you're already thinking business mode, you're connecting. It's sort of already a networking thing where it's visual and they can take their time and read their messages. So bam, that is a great place to let them know, apart from that networking event, you already have like a little blurb that you can send out to them. Make sure you don't use that LinkedIn standard, hey, I want to connect with you. Make sure you personalize it. It's free. You can do it. Don't have to be upgraded for LinkedIn. So make sure that you create a little blurb that says what you do, who you are, and how they can help you. Maybe you can, remind them, hey, I was the one that, we talked about the weather, and we talked about traffic in Nashville, or we talked about, I gave you my hairdresser's number. So make sure you make that connection and with the message to connect with them on LinkedIn and see what happens after that. And 9 times out of 10, they will respond. They'll either say, I don't need this, but I know my cousin is looking for someone, so let me give you his name. And so there you go. So just stay organized, making sure that your cards are cleaned up and they don't worry about the whole branding thing. People are looking at your card. Like I said, I just take the card, I go to my LinkedIn and put it in, or I'll shoot them an email if they don't have LinkedIn, and it's done. So don't put too much worry or effort into having a wonderful card. I will say that one of the things that I do with all of my cards is on the back of the card, I have a little space that has notes. In fact, I just write on there notes, and I have like 2 or 3 lines on the back. And people love that because they can turn that card around and they can take a note like, hey, I saw you here, or, just jot down something that they remember about you. So that's just a tip that I do. So those are the 5 tips. Now, if you want to do some more reading, I have some recommendations for a couple of books that I have really enjoyed reading. One of them is kind of more of the purposeful, they both are, but one is called Networking is Not Working. Stop collecting business cards and start making meaningful connections. So even though I collect business cards, and I don't really collect because I throw them away after I put them in my LinkedIn because I'll remember who they are once I connect with them on social media. So Networking is Not Working by Derek Coburn. It's a great book. They have it on Kindle, on Amazon, and paperback. So it's a great book that is an easy read, and it does connect with that balance and purpose. So if you want to do some more reading on that, that's a great book. The second book I recommend is called Never Eat Alone and Other Secrets to Success, One Relationship at a Time by Keith Ferrazzi. Love this book. It's great because it goes with something that I heard a few years ago that a businesswoman did, and she said she never ate alone. She always ate with someone or had coffee with them, did breakfast with someone. It just expands who you are and what you do. Can get a little pricey, but if you do coffee or a breakfast, you can manage that, and making sure that when you're out, that you're with someone, people are seeing you, connecting and talking with people. A lot of times, some of the best connections I've made have been when I'm having lunch or coffee or breakfast with someone, and one of their friends comes by. They stop and talk to them. They introduce me. It's another connection. So make sure that you're not eating alone. So those are the 2 books that I recommend on networking. And if you are thinking about purchasing those books, if you wouldn't mind going on the description of the podcast and clicking on the links and purchasing through Rising Stories, it really does help us stay on the air and continue with these podcasts. To end the show today, I want to share with you my 3 things that I'm absolutely loving these days. And one is a spice. I love spices. And I don't even know how to say this, and I should because I'm Mexican descent, but it's called Tajin Classico Seasoning. And it's this like chili with some lime. And a lot of times I just put it over my eggs in the morning, or like on fruit. Sometimes, I know that sounds weird, but it really is delicious. Like if you sprinkle it on fruit, or even if you're doing like avocado toast, it's perfect on avocado toast. Perfect. So try some of that. That's what I've been loving. And the other thing is my pop socket. I don't know if y'all know about this, but this pop socket is great. It's a thing that goes on the back. It sticks to the back of your case on your iPhone or your phone. And it kind of helps you prop it up if you need to watch something. Or I just use it because I have like dropsies and things drop out of my hands all the time. I can't even tell you how many times my screen has busted and I've had to fix it. Just way too many and way too many dollars that I've spent on that. But the pop socket, it just kind of, I can text with one hand, one finger kind of thing, with just holding it and just either or answering because of that pop socket. So it's a round thing that connects to the back of your case, and I love it. It's called the pop socket, and it also has like a little hook thing that you can buy separately, and you can stick it on your car or wherever you want to hold your phone together, like prop it up. It kind of has like a little slip in, and it can slip onto something, and it's perfect. It's great for if you're doing navigation on your in your car with your phone. So that's a good thing too. The third thing I'm absolutely loving is by L'Oreal. It's called Paris Skincare Pure Clay Mask Detox and Brightener. I love it. It's this dark clay mask that you put on your face, and oh my gosh, when you take it off, your skin feels so nice. It feels like it takes all of those impurities out, and it just kind of leaves your skin. I mean, it dries up. I love that mask kind of dries because it's like clay. It's like this dark black mud that you put on your face. So it doesn't look all that pretty, but it does something, and I love it. It's not really expensive. I mean, I think it's like under $10, and I think you get plenty of masks out of it. It's in like this little container. So I love masks, but I like the masks that you peel, but I also like these clay masks that just kind of dry up on your face. And when you wash it off, like with the washcloth, that's like the best feeling because it feels like you're really cleaning your face. So those are my 3 things. Now, for what I'm reading, I am sort of revisiting a book because it's coming out on as a movie, and it's called The Glass Castle. And it's a memoir, so it's a true story, which I love. I love memoirs. I don't know about you, but I love memoirs. It's coming out sometime this fall, I think. And it was on the New York Times bestseller list for like 7 years. And it's a memoir about this girl it's about resilience and redemption. And it's a sober look at her life. And when you see it, I mean, when you read it and see the movie, you're going to just be like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that she endured all this. And it's also the fact that when you read it, I can't even tell you how many times people have said, I read this book and I could see my family in this. And like, I think everybody can see their family in this book. So I highly recommend it. If you haven't read The Glass Castle by Janet Walls, it's just amazing and not to be missed. Last but not least, I want to share my favorite Nashville restaurant with you today. And I have discovered the best hamburger in town, and it's at Farm Burger. Now, there are a lot of great hamburgers. There's the Pharmacy, there's Burger Up, there's BurgerFi. Fido's is my number 2, but now my number 1 is at Farm Burger. And they have the best fries. They have like this great root beer, and they have one of the best burgers I've ever had. And I like when I bite into a hamburger that I taste the great tasting meat and beef, because, I'm from Texas, so beef's what's for dinner. And so I grew up eating some great beef in Texas, and I want to taste a hamburger. I want to taste the burger. I don't want to taste the big bun, and I don't want to taste the big, all the lettuce and stuff. I want to taste the meat. And Farm Burger was delicious. So that's it. Thanks so much for listening. If you missed something that you wanted to jot down from this episode but couldn't, I have all of the information on the description below in iTunes app. Also, it'll be on my show notes at CorineSandifer.com. Supporting Rising Stories podcast by purchasing books and products mentioned on the show with the link provided in the show notes. Thanks so much for listening, and keep rising in your own story.